We're entering a new chapter of the Kansas City Chiefs dynasty following their embarrassing loss to the Eagles in Super Bowl 59. And I think it's going to be a while before we see Kansas City back in the big game again, at least 6 to 7 years max, because what is being overlooked about Kansas City is how difficult their division is about to become over the next couple of years. You got Jim Harbaugh and Sean Payton, two accomplished coaches that have won at the highest of levels. Sean Payton has won a Super Bowl before. Jim Harbaugh, he's been to a Super Bowl, several conference championship games when he was coaching the 49ers. And both Sean Payton and Jim Harbaugh overachieved this past season relative to what the expectations were for both of their squads coming into 2024. They didn't really have that much talent. They had salary cap constraints, and yet they were able to overachieve. The Chargers have Justin Herbert, who, when he's playing at his best, he's a top 5 quarterback. And if they can add more pieces around him, they definitely are going to be able to compete for a Super Bowl. And the same thing can be said about the Denver Broncos with Bo Nix. It was a really big surprise that the Broncos were able to win double-digit games and make it to the playoffs with Bo Nix in his rookie season, because not too many people were that high on Bo Nix, but he went to the right situation with the right head coach who can get the most out of him. When they put more pieces around Bo Nix and he really starts to hit his stride, the Broncos are going to be able to compete with the Kansas City Chiefs just like the Los Angeles Chargers are. And unlike the Patriots dynasty, the AFC East was always bad under the Belichick-Brady regime. But the AFC West is a different animal compared to what the AFC East was during the peak of the Patriots dynasty with Brady Belichick. Now Kansas City doesn't have an easy path to getting the 1 seed every single year, to getting home field advantage in the playoffs, because when you're playing in a weak division and Patrick Mahomes has a 35-5 record all time against this division, you're always going to be able to be in position to get the number 1 seed unless you're just having an overall down year. The AFC West now, with the Chargers and the Denver Broncos starting to emerge with promising young quarterbacks now, it's no guarantee that the Chiefs are always going to have that first round bye. And if they do have to play a wild card weekend, who's to say that they don't see an opponent that they would have seen in the AFC Championship in a different year? You know, what if they have to play the Bills or the Baltimore Ravens in the first round if they can't win the AFC West? The Chiefs dynasty is now entering uncharted territory, because this is the most vulnerable that this team has ever looked. They got out-rostered in Super Bowl 59 by Philadelphia. They did not look like they belonged on the same field as what the Eagles did. And there's no guarantee that they're going to be able to improve this roster overnight to the level that the Eagles are. You know, the Baltimore Ravens have a better roster than Kansas City. Hell, the Buffalo Bills have a more talented team than the Kansas City Chiefs. But the Chiefs see the Bills and the Ravens so often that it's easier to game plan for them. But you don't play the Eagles that often. So when you saw them in the Super Bowl and they were playing on a different field, and you add Saquon Barkley and Vic Fangio, that ends up being two of the biggest additions that the Eagles made that completely swung the outcome of that game by several possessions. Imagine the Los Angeles Chargers next season with an improved receiving core. One of the reasons why Justin Herbert and that offense stunk it up in the wild card round against Houston was because the receivers were just terrible outside of Ladd McConkey. When they add more talent at that position and they improve the defense as well, there's no telling how good the Chargers could be next year. They could be good enough to win the Super Bowl in year 2 under Jim Harbaugh, because Jim Harbaugh has won everywhere he's been, and he's done it fairly fast. Sean Payton and the Broncos, they may have a little bit of some ways to go, but who's to say Bo Nix doesn't play at an MVP level next year? The road to the Super Bowl after this year or after this season is going to get incredibly tough for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think it's going to be at least 6 to 7 years from now until we see the Chiefs winning another Super Bowl, because remember, during the Patriots dynasty with Brady and Belichick, they had a pretty long stretch without a Super Bowl win. The Chiefs might get back to that game, but they might not win it.